I heard about 3D printing. I don't know how long ago it was, but I learned over the last year that it's actually referred to as additive manufacturing. So AM is what 3D printing is. There are a handful of ways that they do 3D printing, and like you were saying, Austin, Hewlett Packard, they have their own 3D printing um, type technology. But basically, to build the house with the 3D printer, what they're doing is it's referred to as, I think it's FFF, and it's just they fill. So it's a continuous layered, built up additive manufacturing, and that's what they're using. A lot of smaller objects that maybe have, we'll say, cantilevers or just shapes that aren't stackable, like a dome or something like that, they will actually print in a solution. There's laser printers that print. There's different materials, steel. They can print stainless steel. I'm trying to stay up on the industry of 3D printing in general. I have a little tabletop one at my house that I want to start getting CAD files, converting to SLR files, and printing the projects that I'm actually working on, a little miniature model, just to have some experience in the plastic realm of it. It's I think polypropylene or poly something plastic. But there's alternative printers. There's printers with multiple heads. The specific one that I'm attracted to is Mudbots. It's a concrete printer. This is the most conventional way they're printing houses right now with 3D printers. There are people that are using aircrete. They'll chop up a bunch of styrofoam, mix it with concrete, and pour that way. There are the polymers. So the formula can be what it is. There's people that are digging holes with mud, mixing straw or hemp hurd or whatnot, a fibrous something with the mud, and basically printing the cob house or sort of rammed earth type style house. And it's just very exciting. The 3D printing, for me, why I'm so attracted to it is the innovation. With a 3D printer right now, they're printing with concrete. They print the walls. They're basically printing CMU block style walls because that's what the construction industry is used to. I believe that there are stronger formulas that can be substituted for steel at some point. Like today, probably not, but there might be something. But we could have reinforcement in the 3D printer that's actually stronger than steel, stronger concrete, maybe not even concrete, and it moves. And so the innovation in that regard, the innovation in we can design a house from the jump that has multiple, when the 3D printer advances, we'll be able to print chases for all the trades. We'll be able to print pipes in the wall for plumbing. We'll be able to think of all of the things ahead and hit the print button, and you have less people on the job sites, less opportunity for accidents. You have less trips to the job site from supply chains. You have a more streamlined process of building that takes out months. If you're building new house, it could take out months, and then not to mention the costs. A lot of people want to hear, well, how much is 3D printing saving on building a house? If you're printing a house, how much money do you save, and how much time do you save? I haven't done it yet. My guess is the first house that I print will be almost as long as the normal build. And then the second one will be less. And then the third one. And then, by the 10th house or structure, my guess is it's going to be half the time. So if it was a 6-month project,
And what people are saying out there is that it takes 70% of the time and the cost.
Right. So, and then the materials, right? I mean, if you're just taking bags of ready-mix concrete and printing these walls, the perimeter of a house and interior walls of a house, you could print a 2,000 square foot house for like $5,000 or something silly, you know? I mean, it versus $70,000 versus worth of lumber or something, you know? I mean, it's the ingenuity and innovation is what I'm most attracted to. And the reason is, again, freeing up human time so that we can focus our human energies on a little bit more, in my eyes, health-oriented topics like family, like parenting, like gardening, food production, accountability in the community. So you're not just hustling to pay a rent check and go into your job and not having a sense of ownership around what you're doing. And it's, I know it might sound big in the scheme of the world, like how are you going to change people's philosophies and minds? Well, it just takes a small step. So I think giving people an opportunity to see an alternative way of lifestyle and living in the construction world is a beautiful thing. And I'm not saying I have the answers on that, but I'm open to experiment and work collaboratively with as many people that want to join in as we can.
Just on a tactical note, it sounds like principally the 3D printers building is creating the walls, the vertical walls, and therefore, is there another process for the foundation and also for the roofs and the spans there?
Right. Well, like in the ground foundations, they're most likely economically most beneficial to pour traditionally. Once you come out of the ground, you can use the 3D printer for your form boards. You can actually print the form boards with the machine. So you're eliminating all those batter boards, all the layout time, all the materials that have to be stripped once the concrete is poured. And you then can carry on, print the stem walls, we'll call them, and then, build up the exterior walls, build the interior walls. And right now, there's no cementitious 3D printing of roofs that I've seen.
Yeah.
I know that Mudbots has talked about on some of their videos I don't know if they're printing plastic roof trusses with 3D printers, but they are, looking for that comprehensive structure, whether it's concrete or wood or whatnot. So, I mean, I believe that 3D printing wood at some point will become, structurally, you'll be printing beams and you'll be printing, spannable headers or load carriers, so it's right now only to the top of the top plate, but they are doing multiple floors, so 2 stories, 3 stories. There are structures all over the world. I think there's a 3-story building in Europe somewhere that they're printing right now. And again, I haven't been to a 3D printed house, and I haven't seen a 3D printer for houses work. So right now, everything that I'm going off of is conversation and video. And I'm just really jazzed about the opportunities that the 3D printer can, provide. So.
Can I just add one thing that excites me about 3D printing? It's again, also as a builder myself, we build stuff, as you can see in the background of me here, all square walls and right angles, and that really doesn't exist anywhere in nature. But it's the most practical and easy way to build. And with 3D printer, we have the freedom to now do different structures that doesn't have straight angles. And we could do it with wood and drywall and other stuff, but it's so labor intensive and it's highly expensive. So now cheaply you can make an organic looking house. That particularly excites me. And also the possibility of the future, as we were just talking earlier, with different materials, that is, they're not concrete, with those geopolymers. And what we're hearing, that these geopolymers can last up to like 10,000 years and stuff. And they're waterproof and fireproof, and you don't have to do, if you don't want to, you could always add more to it. But if you don't have to worry about siding, or inside, you don't have to worry about adding drywall, and it just subtracts a lot of extra steps that are not per se necessary. So I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, just kind of continue with that is that I feel like how we build the whole box architecture is just, I think it's archaic. I think we do it because we can get straight lines out of trees, and that's like the way the materials has kind of dictated the art form. Whereas I see, arches and domes and all that stuff seems to be just from a pure physics point of view more efficient, like less material, stronger, and in my mind, if it's done well, like more beautiful, and it fits more into the landscape. And it seems to me that, actually, the one I did see a 3D printed roof, which was a dome. It was actually made out of mud, and I'm excited about that potential for actually really shifting how we look at our structures, like from a fundamental shape point of view, because I think it also, and I think that will also translate into psychological and emotional differences in how we live. I think living in a box is, like, from a feng shui point of view, is fundamentally different than living in a circular, or not even necessarily circular, but rounded edges, and where the energy can flow better. So I'm super excited of like where this technology could go in that regard.
Yes.
Beautiful. Any concluding thoughts just about 3D printing, aspirations, any of that?
Well, could you maybe talk a little bit about some of the stuff you talked earlier on the call that isn't on this part of the call? You're like where you're contemplating buying a 3D printer, and maybe just a little bit of where you're at on that side of things.
Yeah, I'm
Up, do we lose him?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
I'm pretty convinced and convinced myself that I'm going to buy one. It's just when and how and sort of with who. I'd like to be able to just purchase it on my own, just so I can have the flexibility to experiment in any which way, shape, or form that I feel, and not have somebody upset when something breaks, or upset when, why were you printing that instead of whatnot. So I know that's kind of petty, but where I'm at is, again, I haven't been to a 3D printed house, and I haven't used a 3D printer. So my ability to really have a grasp on all of it and be able to talk about it all is just through my conversations with Mudbots, with people like you guys, and a lot of research in the 3D printing industry and 3D home printing with concrete. So I'm just right on the verge of starting application process for funding, traditionally with some sort of term loan or equipment leasing loan. And once I have that, I'll meet with Mudbots with a team of a structural engineer and a couple other people. Christian is one that I invited to the interview, and I have a couple other business partners, one Josh in Colorado and Kamala, my controller. So there'll be 5 of us on that first call with Mudbots, talking I'd love to invite you guys, but I want to keep it small and tight. And then when we basically sign the purchase order agreement and provide funding, they start building the machine. And it takes them about 3 or 4 months to build the specific machine that we ordered. And during that time, they invite us up, I think twice, to their facility, and they just give us the crash course on their technology, the way that it works, and they make you print walls. And I mean, their goal, from what I've heard, is we want you to call CNN out to your build and it just be flawless. Like the last thing we want is our product sitting out there in the public eye failing. So everything that they're doing is trying to provide a structured wall that is successful. So that's, when I hear that, it's exciting, to collaborate with somebody on those lines. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Beautiful.
Yeah, Gregory, sorry if you can't hear or see. I'm seeing your messages. We are here. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear, yeah. And I want to just tie it a little bit to our vision. When I say our, including you, Brian, but there's this dream, how do I put? So there's so many of us want to go back to a little bit more of a basic life that is closer to nature, that we're living closer to our environment, and there's particular movement that's happening now. People are like looking to get more land versus more house. And there's also movement about tiny house where, like I said, people want just a place to sleep, but to have a lot more access to nature. So I think combining those two worlds, that's where 3D printing really fits in, because we can build like a beautiful little, quickly, cheaply organic structure on a piece of land where, so those two businesses to me really combine together. So in a way, we could, the intention is to become like developers that we're developing eco villages. So those villages, right? Like we need dwellings. So with this technology, those dwellings can be built quickly, cheaply, effectively, organically, all those things. Especially as we figure out the materials and we slowly start to move away from concrete. So I just kind of wanted to tie those things together.
Yeah.
You muted.
I agree.
Gregory,
we can't hear you.
You're muted.
Oh, sorry. I haven't been able to see Austin or Brian for like the last 10 minutes or so. I'm assuming it's being recorded. I have to hop off. But anyways, great talking with you guys. Good to see you again, Brian. I don't know if you can see me, but
yes,
sign out, and I look forward to next time.
Great. All right, Gregory. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Gregory.
So, yeah, along those lines of the printing communities, it's a faster way. So increasing production time, decreasing production time, increasing efficiency, and lowering the cost, right? So once we have our master designer, Austin, get these shapes designed, we plug it into the 3D printer, and we just have to make sure that our materials are there and on site and ready to go. So it's not just some magic, there's a lot of misinformation around 3D printing. It's not just the magic button that you're just going to push. There's still labor involved. The framework for the MudBot specifically is lightweight aluminum trusses, similar to building a stage at a festival. So you set up the stage, and then you bring in the gantry, and then you hook up the hose to your mixer and pump, and then the mixer and pump receive the supplies, whatever they are. So that's why I'm confident we can have hempcrete or geopolymer or whatever go through the hose. It's designed to do that. It's just, whatever.
And I also think that the human component could be very easily, not very easily, but it was still there because the 3D printing doesn't do any of the finishes. And what makes a home is the finishes, not the structure. Like the 3D printer just does the rough structure, but how you finish it, how you paint it, what how you actually make it into a home, that still requires the human touch and human hand that the 3D printer just can't do.
Right.
So to me, it doesn't take away from that aspect.
Right. Yeah. Having we'll call it an affordable line. You can have a custom line, and you can have a rural line and an urban line of sort of design criteria. Obviously you can design whatever, but it probably isn't going to be the most common way of building in neighborhoods at this point that are existing. Like I think about coming and loading up a 3D printer in my backyard. I would do it because I'm a builder, but most people would probably say, why don't we just frame it or pour a concrete slab, or and I've had a lot of feedback from the community in construction. My concrete buddies are all hesitant on it, and they say, one of my good friends, he's a general engineering and concrete contractor for 30 years, and he's like, you're too early with the 3D printing technology. You're too early. So to me, that's exciting because that means we're right on time. But he's like, I can get guys out to the job and form it up in a couple days. What's the difference if I do that or if your printer does it and you got to set up your machine and blah, blah, blah. So there are some valid arguments. There will still be humans, way less materials. That's what I'm going for. Way less materials and way less humans. So if you can eliminate, and again, the innovation, I would love to build those healing homes, have some quartz crystals crushed up in the formula, and then it's radiating sacred energy from our planet Earth up to the skies in shapes that are designed to amplify that healing energy. So,
yeah, so much possibility. And I just want to add a little bit, when you keep saying less humans, and a lot of people respond negatively to that, and be like, whoa, what about jobs and stuff? Yeah. I've been in construction for over 20 years, and year after year, we have less labor. So, and it blows my mind that there is less labor because it's an industry where you can make a lot of money and you're getting paid to learn. You don't have to go to school. I can hire someone with zero experience as a helper, and I'm still paying them a salary for them to acquire a skill. And I don't think that exists anywhere in the world and the other industries. But even that's the case, we have less and less labor each year. So labor goes less, and as a result, labor goes up. So when we say less humans, we actually don't have humans that are actually willing to do building and construction. So it's an actual problem. And one reason why construction is becoming more and more expensive, to a point where it's more expensive to build a house than to buy an existing one. So it's a real thing.
Well, I haven't even talked to you guys about the technology that I'd love to create with this. So years ago, I was with a venture. We were trying to build an app to be a general contractor. That was kind of the vision. We want to build a general contracting app so that any homeowner can build a house or do a remodel and have all the data stored in one place, all the communication, all the specifications, plans, all of it in one place, in conjunction with 3D rendering, some gamification. But so that was my old company, and that dissolved. It's still around, and the CEO is still trying to make it happen. He's a general contractor. But what I'd like to do is set up that sort of project flow with a simplified way to build the house. So it's just like a question response kind of thing. Have you called for your rebar inspection? Do you have your UFR ground in place prior to pouring? Just simple reminders and a streamlined project flow that kids can get into. So my dream is to invite the youth to learn how to build houses through technology. Everybody's on their phone more and more and more. Everybody's on their devices more and more and more. How cool would it be to be at school and they're actually operating our software that's in the field with 2 or 3 people, and maybe they're even their classmates that are printing, so they're watching the build from their classroom, or their classroom is right next to the build, or whatever, just involving more craft and trade and artistic expression as an alternative to, I don't even know what the jobs are for kids coming out of school these days. Like you said, Christian, it's like construction. All I've had in my 6 years of my own company, I've had, I'm guessing, 60 employees come and go. Last year I had the most ever at the same time. I think I had 14 employees full-time, from apprentices to journeyman to foreman, and like you said, the skill level, A, is really depleted, and B, the amount of people that want to work are just more and more rare. So bringing a more fun experience to building is also a goal through this. Will it be fun for everybody? I'm not sure. That's not me to guess, but I want to at least provide a enjoyable experience for building. And that's another part of being a contractor. I think, Austin, we were talking about the pain points. It's like, that's another thing. Like, I want to have fun. Like, building is fun. It's really fun. Let's enjoy it instead of stress out about it.
Yeah, when you get into the projects, there's, you really, it is a really joyful thing to be able to work on things and work with your hands, which is so much grounds you in the body. And so, yeah, that element of there, and also getting people to be able to participate in it and their own also contributing to the home build. That also makes a deeper sense of home, just that sweat equity that goes into that. So that's a nice balance. It's like, how can we make things efficient, but at the same time, make it very personal and intimate at the same time? So,
well, we've been talking for an hour and a half. I think it's a good place to stop. And I'll see you guys in a few hours.
Yeah, that's right. I'll see you guys tonight.
So I think we've covered a lot of ground. I'm very excited. I'm super grateful that you're willing to take the risk and take see if you get this loan. I've said, I'll help you with the payments, if we jump in and do this together, obviously.
Right.
And
thank you.
I'm going to take on.
Super grateful to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm super grateful, I'm really taking on this whole marketing thing, just kind of where we're just build like some kind of following and be able to make this a profitable business where we could pay this loan in a couple of years or less. So that's my intention.
Beautiful.
Nice. I love it.
I'm gonna.
Yeah.